this is Stephanie, head photographer with Reese Studios in Washington, D.C. Today we're going to talk about 7 guidelines for better flower photography. Flowers are one of the most accessible subjects to photograph, but you don't want to just take your run-of-the-mill flower in a flower pot on top of a table type of shot. Most people want to establish or create an image that is compelling and makes you stop and say, man, I wish I had taken that shot. Now, the most important thing to do is to remember your angles. Getting down low at eye level to your flower is really important. Or if it's a low-hanging flower, you can lay on your back or your stomach and shooting up. Now, when you shoot up, what you're creating is you're making the flower not only seem taller, but it's going to fill your frame. Another thing to remember is to have a tripod set up. When you get that close to any subject, every little movement is going to count. So what a tripod will do is help you stabilize your camera and will allow you to get sharper, clearer subjects. If you have access to a remote wireless trigger, please try to have that on hand. If you don't have a remote trigger, you can also just use your camera setting. You can set it to the timer. Timer is often forgotten, but by setting your timer, getting your focus on your subject, and just taking a step back, that one thing is going to make a difference when you photograph your subjects. Now, if you can use natural lighting, try to do that. Set your flower up next to a window, because what that's going to do is going to create less harsh shadows, and it's going to give you a more appealing picture overall. If you are outdoors, try to shoot on an overcast day or early morning to get that really nice, clean light. Now, although I recommend shooting during that time of day, early morning, as a guideline, is not the rule. Again, you can shoot any time of the day, but remember that you're going to get harsher lights or harsher shadows. But if that's the look you're going for, by all means do that. Another thing to remember when shooting flowers is to have your settings correct. Actually, digital cameras have made it very simple nowadays by giving us the little flower icon, which is also the macro setting. And by using that setting, you'll be able to get sharper images and a clearer shot. If you have access to a macro lens, putting those two together, again, you'll be able to achieve any great image that you choose to achieve. Another item to have is a macro lens. If you have access to one, they are great when trying to photograph any subject up close. If you use that macro lens in conjunction to the macro settings, which is usually and conveniently set as a flower on your dial, your images are going to be extremely sharp and you'll be able to get better detail. So by combining those two, the macro lens and the setting, you're going to get an amazing image. Try to use natural lighting. Macro lenses are great. Have your settings correct. Those are all key elements to getting better flower photography. Again, this is Stephanie, head photographer with Reese Studios in Washington, D.C., and we just talked about the 7 guidelines for better flower photography.